Commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Super Bowls. And I just never forget, as a kid, watching all the Super Bowl games and watching Monday Night Football, and my mom said, "It's time to go to bed." But I said, "No, Mom, I want to play pro football one day." And I never would have ever thought that when my dad took me outside to kind of throw the ball around, that this ball would have taken me places. I want to tell young students, the ball without education and without the proper mentoring is a disaster.
Tyrone Keys was born in Jackson, Mississippi. He attended Dawson Elementary School, where his young life was impacted forever by his 6th grade teacher, who taught him to dream big and believe in himself. Holloway High School is where he met his coach Odell Jenkins, who became his mentor. In 1981, Tyrone graduated from Mississippi State. In 1985, Tyrone Keys won his first Super Bowl championship with the Bears. Later that year, Tyrone and his teammates produced the iconic Super Bowl Shuffle, featuring Mr. Keys as the keyboardist.
We are the Bears, shuffling crew, shuffling on down, doing it for you. We're so bad, we know we're good, blowing your mind like we knew we would.
But the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that the Super Bowl Shuffle was, if you listen to Walter Payton's lyrics, we're not doing it because we're greedy. We're doing it to feed the needy.
And we're not doing this because we're greedy. The Bears are doing it to feed the needy.
And that was to raise a lot of money for the families in Chicago to feed them and clothe them during the winter months.
I can't believe this phone call.
Why is that? I'm telling you, it's been how many years?
Since 1970, so that's quite a while.
Tyrone Keys, a former Mississippi State football player, came back to this his hometown, his native town, met with the school that he went to, the elementary school, met with kids and spoke to them about believing and achieving, and it's a really inspirational story behind Tyrone. But it's not solely Tyrone's story, it's a lesson and a living lineage, and how sometimes the smallest people can make the largest lasting impact.
As a football player, Tyrone Keys' journey led him through SEC domination at Mississippi State and Super Bowl glory in the NFL. Yet through all of his triumphs and success, he never forgot about this woman, Mary Hagan, Keys' 6th grade teacher. The teacher to whom he owed so much had no awareness of the impact she had made.
She expanded our awareness of what the possibilities could be. And over the years, I always thought about her.
To be honest with you, I did not know, I have a clue that this impact had reached the level it did until after we started talking.
What makes Mrs. Hagan and our story so different is because of the circumstances and because of the fact that she could have said, adios, I'm gone. In 1971 in Jackson, Mississippi, and in the heart of the heat of the civil rights movement, and her compassion for us and her courage to travel back and forth from this community to her community, I just never forgot it. You know, back in our era, when Martin Luther King had that famous quote, it's not the content of your skin, but the content of your character. She came in and she represented what true character is.
After 47 years, I still had the class roll. And for a reason I cannot explain, I had a small mark next to Tyrone's name. I also had the copy of the poem I had left for them.
And then down at the end of the line, she mentioned, love is when one of your students come to visit. Now, I'm here. It took me 39 years, but I'm here.
I can't believe this is happening after talking to Tyrone a few weeks ago, and he said he could make this happen, and he had found you, and this is unbelievable. It really is. I mean, to go back and to be able to talk to your sixth grade teacher, and that's something. I mean, after all these years, that's really something. Because I never would in a million years thought this would happen. We learned a lot from you. I talk about you to this day. I'm gonna tell you, Miss Hagan, you definitely left an impression on me.
We had no idea what part we were playing in history, did we?
No, we did not.
At the time. It's a good thing we'd have probably turned and run the other way or something. But it all worked out. It all worked out.
Well, you know, you're a special person with a big heart, with one of those kinds of love, you know, for people, for your students. I think that just speaks for people, just has an impact on people.
Well, it's just wonderful hearing from you.
Oh, same here.
I have always said that God can use anyone or anything for his purposes. In 1975, I believe he brought Coach Jenkins to Callaway and used the game of football to demonstrate to a group of high school kids that racial reconciliation is not just something you ought to strive for, it's really something that can bring lifelong joy and friendships. Back in 1970, the US Department of Education and the Department of Justice declared segregated schools unconstitutional, and a massive busing plan was implemented across Mississippi. The effort did achieve a more racially integrated classroom at first, but the results did not create a more colorblind environment on either side in most places. Somehow, Callaway was different. There was an unusual mix of administrators, teachers, coaches, parents, and students whose character and values fostered an environment of respect and cooperation. Nowhere was that fact more visible than among the members of the football team. At Callaway High School in 1975, a diverse group of aspiring athletes bonded on the gridiron to lead their team to the first statewide championship of an integrated football team in Mississippi. No JPS team can boast such an accomplishment to this day. Over 40 years later, that band of brothers, black and white, continues deep friendships with each other. Skin color has never been an issue for them. When the team held a 40-year reunion in 2016, the members got together and rode an old JPS school bus together to the MS Sports Hall of Fame Museum and presented their 1975 state championship trophy to Bill Blackwell, the executive director. Coach Jenkins inspired that unity and continued community. He was instrumental in organizing the 50-year Hall of Fame and an invitation to the Mississippi State Hall of Fame to celebrate the 75 state championship team and the 50th anniversary team.
The 1975 Callaway Chargers were honored today at the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame. They were the last integrated JPS team to win a state title. Hall of Famer Hill Denton was an assistant coach. Tyrone Keys played on the undefeated Charger squad 40 years ago. I asked the Super Bowl champ what it meant for this team to be remembered forever on Lakeland Drive.
Since I've been inducted since 2009, I always thought about that 75 Callaway team. Just thought about them and just thought about the 85 Bears and what a blessing it was for me to play on two outstanding legendary teams. 40 years later, for us to be going into the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame with our trophy, what a wonderful day. And the great thing about it is in 1971, when we started busing, it was considered one of our darkest moments because we didn't know what to expect. And we go over to Callaway and we all united as one front, one heartbeat. And for us to come back today to get off of that school bus, that's history.
Callaway High School was the first school in the state of Mississippi was identified as a school of choice. Black and whites had opportunity to choose to go to school together. Callaway was the first school in the state of Mississippi. Players talked about how we came together, black and whites. Tyrone mentioned the number of players. We had an assortment about 50-50 black and white players. There's no other team in the Jackson, Mississippi that's won a state championship, but however, here's another point. There's no other team in the Jackson metro area that's gone undefeated and won a state championship, and this was Callaway in 1975. There was a proclamation that the state legislators presented to Callaway after the 75 championship team.
Coach Odell Jenkins, who was the only African-American coach on the staff of the Callaway Charger 1975 state championship team, was the glue that held it all together.
Tyrone has been a blessing to me. And all you guys have, Bobby, Dunn, Clump, Darrell Smith, and all you guys that I have talked to, and Slaughter, you mean so much to me now. Tell you something else, we've been blessed to have been around a bunch of good guys. It hasn't been on, in fact, when I spoke to the team, first ball game this year, I told them they had a whole lot to uphold. It's not only just football. You're all not just football players. Look where you are now. Look what you're doing. We got doctors, lawyers, people who have done well, law enforcement. You have done well. You have represented Callaway well. And Skippy, Hill and I, been friends over the years, Coach Lee, all us. In fact, when I tell other people from other schools, and they said, not only y'all still good, y'all work together, it's amazing, y'all friends. Some people don't understand that. We still are good friends. You all are winners, but we appreciate you coming. It's just a good job to see it all come together.
Look, I would like to say this about Coach Jenkins and the rest of our coaches. Before I knew what a mentor was, these guys was our mentors. These guys have been doing it for years, and we thank you for what you have made out of us.
When I came to Callaway, there was a principal there named Mr. Smith. There was an assistant principal named Lamar Nesbitt. There was an assistant principal named Mr. Manning. That was the foundation for what you see here today. Besides that point, you could not find a better coaching staff in the United States than Charlie Allman, Skippy Beerbro, Hill Denson, Odell Jenkins, and Bill Lee. I'm telling you, they were the epitome of coaches. So again, you fellas that went all the way to that championship, remember the foundation was set.
A concurrent resolution commending the Jackson Callaway High School football Chargers for their outstanding undefeated 1975 football season. Whereas the Jackson Callaway High School football team won the championship of the Capital Zone of the Big Elite 8 Conference. And whereas the Jackson Callaway High School football team won the state championship of the North Mississippi Division of the Big 8 Conference. And whereas the Jackson Callaway High School football team won the overall championship of the Big 8 Conference. And whereas the Jackson Callaway High School squad is rated the #1 team in Mississippi by Associated Press and United Press International. And whereas this fine group of young athletes completed their season with an astounding record of 12 wins against no losses. The only team ever in the history of the Mississippi High School Activities Association to have this record. And whereas the Jackson Callaway High School football team scored a total of 328 points on offense, while allowing only 121 points to be scored against them on defense. And whereas 9 members of the Jackson Callaway squad were all Big 8 conference selections And whereas 11 members of the Jackson Callaway team were selected to the All-City team. And whereas the Jackson Callaway High School squad were ably coached and inspired by head coach Charles Allman, assistant coaches Hill Denson, W.J. Bilbrough, and Odell Jenkins, has developed a winning and cooperative spirit and a high degree of sportsmanship. And whereas their activities and attitude reflect great credit upon the individual players and their coaches and bring honor to their school, and whereas it is the policy of this legislature to recognize and command excellence, especially when evidenced by the youth of our state who are its future. Therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the state of Mississippi, the Senate concurring therein, that we hereby commend and congratulate the Jackson Callaway High School football team and their coaches, Charles Allman, Hill Denson, W.J. Bilbrough, and Odell Jenkins, for winning the Big 8 Conference and for displaying tireless devotion to their athletic endeavors.
Let's take a look at our All-State Good Hands flashback. The last time Alabama lost in the regular season as number 1 was all the way back in 1980. Tied 3-3 late in the fourth quarter. Dana Moore's 22-yard field goal put the Bulldogs up by 3. Alabama marched down to the 2-yard line, but Tyrone Keys hit quarterback Don Jacobs. It forced the fumble. Mississippi recovered and ended Alabama's 28-game win streak and their hopes of an unprecedented
attention for his post-career work, and seems especially proud of his recognition as one of the SEC's 75th anniversary Stories of Character and his induction into the MSU Education Hall of Fame. Even with all his success, from penthouse to outhouse to White House, Keys best remembers a gray November day in Jackson 29 years ago.
My favorite Mississippi sports memory is, of course, being right over there at Veterans Stadium and beating Alabama 6-3 with 22 seconds to go. I'm on the 4-yard line. I can feel it like it was yesterday. I can smell the sweat, the grunting, and you can just sense that Alabama thought that they were going to win that game.
I remember us in the huddle. We started to panic a little bit because if you remember, they hadn't even been across the 50-yard line the whole game. So Billy Jack and Tyrone was kind of like the senior leader of the defense that year, Larry Friday. So guys in the huddle started like, come on, man, we can't let it get away, So, we 30 seconds, and so they were rushing to the line because we was kind of disorganized. And I remember getting up and Tyrone told me, we're gonna make a big play, And ball snapped, the next thing I knew, because I had got cut off from the backside, I was coming in pursuit. And so I seen Billy Jack dive through and hit the quarterback and the ball fumble. And I got a snapshot at home when everybody about this high off the ground, and we knew we had won.
They came my way, and and the rest is kind of history.
Tyrone Keys helps others receive the same opportunity he was given. An SEC's 75th anniversary Story of Character.
And I just never forget, as a kid, watching all the Super Bowl games and watching Monday Night Football, and my mom said, it's time to go to bed, but I said, no, Mom, I want to play pro football one day. And I never would have ever thought that when my dad took me outside to kind of throw the ball around, that this ball would have taken me places.
Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest team in NFL history, the 1985 Chicago Bears. Now, I know that may get me into some trouble in some cities that I visit, but I believe it is the truth. Cynics might say that I'm only hosting the 85 Bears today because the Green Bay Packers were here a couple months ago, and I was not going to be outdone. But as it turns out, after this team won the Super Bowl, it never had a chance to celebrate here in the White House. The day after Super Bowl 20, 500,000 Chicagoans turned out in 25 below wind chill weather to welcome the champs back from New Orleans. But sadly, the day after that, we endured a national tragedy as the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded shortly after liftoff. And so the moment for the Bears to visit the White House was postponed, and the years went by. But shortly after I took office, someone at the NFL realized, hey, there's a Bears fan living in the White House. And they called my staff and asked if we could make this happen. And so today I am proud to say to the players, to the coaches, to the staff of the 1985 Bears, welcome to the White House for this well-deserved and long overdue recognition.
I can still see it in slow motion when Wilbur Marshall picks up the ball. The Fridge is leading him down the field, and we all are just running with him.
Fridge ain't losing no ground now. He's right with him.
You can't write a script for this, just the way it all ended.
Not to get theatrical, but I mean, how better can you write a script here, for crying out loud?
And the snow starts coming down, and the fans went absolutely crazy.
The Bears were going to their first Super Bowl. Mike Ditka's thoughts turned to Papa Bear George Halas, the man who had hired him to get them there.
And I think right there, the old man was saying, we've come full circle, guys. We've come full circle. That's the first time since '63.
But I want to tell young students, the ball without education and without the proper mentoring is a disaster. So I encourage the young people that they have to develop character, because football by itself is a non-transferable skill. But you can take everything that you learn from the coaches and the teachers, you can take with you and you can apply it, and you can parlay the game from the playing field to the game of life, and then come back and help the next generation on their journey.
And I start every day by saying, Lord, I want you to direct this day. I surrender this day to you. And it's a wonderful thing to walk through every day and to know that God is leading and God is directing. It's wonderful to go through every day and know that God has His protective host around you, and nothing can touch a hair of your head without His permission.
Yes, it is.